everyone. Welcome to DSpace webinars that we are currently hosting while we're in the midst of this pandemic. Hi, my name is Ruth. I'm a community learning specialist here at DSpace. I usually lead teen programs, but I also do some more cool side projects like this one here with Tinkercad. Please note that there is a chat, and I'm going to post some instructions right in there. Make sure you have everything addressed to all panelists and attendees. And if you are viewing in Facebook, if you comment anything on our Facebook page and such, we won't be able to see that unless you are logged into Zoom and you chat there, and I'll be able to see that directly right there. Okay, so another thing on test here is that we recently just got a new mic. Hopefully we're sounding okay, because I know if I move my mouse a lot like this, it can, hopefully that's not too loud. If that is too loud, let me know in chat. But yeah, you can use chat to ask questions, say hello in there, and stuff, some stuff like that. Also, I'll post links right in there too. But I'm just pausing a little bit, making sure everyone's got in here. Yep, okay, good. So let's get started here. I'm going to skip that part right here. But first thing that we really need for starting out some Tinkercad basics is obviously Tinkercad. So here's the link right here. And I have to start a new share for you to see what I'm doing. And I'm going to paste it right into chat, the link, Tinkercad. So Tinkercad is a free program they can only use within the browser. So it's not something you install in your computer. So it's not accessible that way offline, but it's accessible for people who are on Chromebooks who can't download or install 3D programs without, you know, a lot of rework. So there's the link right there. I forgot to have my little annotate here. There we go. So this is a free website, but it still requires you to sign up. There's this little part, like a little button on the upper right called Join Now. You can click right on there. So click on Join Now, and then it's going to ask you, like if you're in school or not, you could just skip all of that and go straight to create personal account. Now, I was notified there was some like weird thing with signing up with age. It makes it a little bit more difficult, but Tinkercad doesn't have any like messaging systems, much of it in it to my extent of my knowledge. So you don't have to worry about much of that, but yeah, I can create a personal account right here, and you can sign up with Gmail or Apple, or sign up through email. To go directly sign up with email. It's gonna ask for like birthday. I do one that's more recent, like 2010. I go next. It's gonna ask for a parent's email. That's much along the guidelines there. But I believe if you are above the age of 13, it shouldn't ask you. Otherwise, you can try a much older age there, so it's a lot more easier to sign up. But yeah, if you have an automatic password here in DSpace, if you log in DSpace, it like automatically signs you in. But if you're not, you know, currently at DSpace, we don't have that luxury. So I'm just going to pause share a little bit, but if you have any questions about signing up, let me know. You can just go through Join Now, create personal account right there. I'm going to give you some time to say sign up while I sign in. And there we go. I'm now signed in here. So if you were kind of curious about what Tinkercad is exactly beyond the description on our website, Tinkercad is a 3D editor program. Can't really model much into it, but I'll be showing some modeling techniques in Tinkercad, but you won't be able to like edit vertices, faces, edges. If you don't know what that means, you're good. You're in the right spot to learn how to start a 3D design right in here. But if you are in it from a background with more experience in 3D modeling and such, this program is very, very basic. So you won't be able to edit like vertices, edges. You won't be able to like sculpt into things. The most you can do is cut into shapes, make them large, scale them, transform them, translate, and rotate. You can assign color, but you can't do a lot of texturing in here. This is very much a very lightweight 3D program that can be used on like so many computers. It was meant more for more accessibility rather than doing all this cute, cool, crazy stuff. So hopefully once everyone is signed in and has an account, you'll see a page like this. If you have a new account, you won't see these right here. You'll see like where it's just blank and then create new design. This is just a little area for you to start working designs, but if you notice on the left side here, Tinkercad has more than just 3D design. You can also play with circuits. It's usually with Arduino stuff where like you connect things together, see how it works. So you can do like your designs right there before you start building it together. And they added code blocks in here, which is blockly coding, if you ever heard of that before. And maybe I should have not clicked on this first because it's going to go in it, but it's like coding with 3D objects. If you want it, if you need to do something along that line. I'm just going to go back to Tinkercad here. And then there's lessons for all the different things that they have. But the first primary function was just 3D design. Okay. So if you are here, you can go ahead and click on Create New Design. If you're not, let me know they still need to sign up for Tinkercad or having, internet issues or stuff like that. I am very much willing to stop and slow down to help you, help anyone within our webinar to catch up and able to create something cool in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Create New Design. And if I'm really quiet, let me know, or if my mouse is kind of loud, let me know. Again, we're just testing out this new mic we got. Hopefully it works out. But yeah, here we are. Hopefully everyone is here. If you're not, let me know. Type in chat that you're not here yet. But yeah. So first things first is what we want to do is definitely rename project, because when we download the model, it's going to have some weird name. So right here is where we can edit the name in that area. We just click directly right on it and we can give it a name. So we're going to be making a simple wrench better. So I'm just going to name it Simple Wrench. It'll be the end project of this. Usually we do a wrench because it's a simple tool you can create and 3D print really fast. This webinar is more geared towards people designing for 3D printing. But you can definitely make other things in here besides a wrench. Yeah, first thing, we got that renamed, Simple Wrench. So when I download it, I won't be confused by the name years later when I see some gibberish name and I'm like, what is this? And I have to open it up in some program. Okay, so something I highly recommend for 3D programs in general, you want to use a mouse when working these. You can get away with not using a mouse, but it's so much easier to navigate with a mouse rather than a trackpad or a touchscreen, because there's multiple different ways to manipulate your movement around, and mice give multiple options, while trackpads and touchscreens are very limited to zooming and zooming out, but can't rotate around. So a mouse makes it so much easier to navigate through here. But luckily, Tinkercad has other ways to help people to navigate around without a mouse, and I'll be showing you guys next of that. First, I'm going to show you how to navigate with a mouse. So this is your 3D space. This right here is your plane, your work plane. This you can actually build outside of this plane, but this plane is here as a reference of what's your ground. so you can center things properly. If you have like an object all the way off the side over there and you download it, the orientation point's over here, and you'll see like your object off in space somewhere. It might be difficult to find it. There we go. And this right here actually is measured for like real life measurements. So if you're designing here, you want to have something particular size, you can change that. If you notice at the bottom, right, there's this little thing called Snap Grid and Edit Grid right over here. So right now, each square is 1 millimeter. We want to change it to inches because, you know, I don't know, it depends what you work with, but inches for me right now makes it easier to understand what size it's going to be in real life. So I'm going to go ahead and click Edit Grid. And if I hover over it, it tells me workspace measurements. So I'm clicking Edit Grid. And I see there's units, which I can change to inches. Also, I can change the default width and height. So if I'm designing something and I want to make sure it's exactly 10 inches, I can make the block as wide as or long as the grid that I have here. So I'm going to change this to inches, and I'm going to change this to 10, oops, 10 by 10. There we go. So what I've done is I went to the grid, edit grid, and I changed the units to inches, and I changed the width to 10 for 10 inches and the length to 10 for 10 inches. And then you click update grid when you're done. And it doesn't look like anything's happened yet, but each of these big blue squares with the thicker outlines is 1 inch. And then one of the smaller squares in there is 1/10, oh, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1/8 of a unit. Yeah, I thought it'd be 10, but nope, it's 1/8 of a unit within there. Another thing I want to point out, this will make sense a little bit later, but there's a snap grid that snaps to the little rectangles here. I guess I can illustrate it now. So if I bring my cube out and slowly move it, it only snaps to the grid right here according to the smaller cubes. But if I go down to snap grid and I change it to like 1/4 of an inch, it like skips over 2 squares now as I move it around. And if I turn snap grid off, I can like freely move and place things. So if you want something very precisely sized and snapped to a certain part, you can have it snapped to different links if you wish. And again, I'm gonna delete that. And now I'll tell you guys how to navigate this with a mouse. So I'm just going over how to use Tinkercad first, and then we'll make a wrench at the end. So first, starting with a mouse here, I got my grid right here. If I left click, it highlights this red square. Hopefully you can see it. It's like this dashed line. Oh, someone's asking how to delete cube. So if you have a cube in there and you were just playing around, you can click on it and just hit the delete key to delete it. Or this trash can up here at the top. Yeah, and I'll go back over that again soon. Okay, so with left click, again, the rectangle shows up, and I'll hold left click down, drag out. That is the area of selection. So if the object's down and I want to like select multiple things in there, I can left click and drag out, select multiple things. To zoom in and to zoom out, I'm using the scroll wheel to do that. So I'm just going to put a cube down for a reference. So I'm zooming in and I'm closer to the cube, and I zoom out with the scroll wheel to get the cube to be smaller. Now notice the plane is still in the same view as it was before, not exactly aligned to my camera yet, but you notice we're not really turning it around at all. We're like in the same view, zooming into a certain spot around here and zooming out. And another way to navigate around is if you hold middle click down, that's the scroll wheel. They made it to a clicking button too, if you didn't know. If I hold that down, I can move my plane around without changing my perspective. So I can zoom out a little bit. and I can rotate around. You can see that that plane on the ground is not really rotating around. It's just kind of moving it from left to right from the same view. So if I have like a little thing right over here I'm editing, I can like zoom in and like scoot over so I can like still have the same perspective, but move it back and forth in there. Now to rotate around the space, you hold right click down and drag your mouse back and forth. And you see now that that plane on the bottom here is moving. It's rotating to different perspectives. And you can see the cube is changing perspectives too. So I can like quickly move around and change something in the back side here. Like maybe there's a face right here I want to move, and I'm adding the hair on the back, and yeah, you can actually rotate about. This is below the plane, above our ground plane. Yeah, so that is very handy. Mice are really handy to use for navigating. So to go over again, middle mouse lets you move like your view around. You don't move objects, but you move your view around. Scroll wheel in and out is zoom in and zoom out. Right click, hold down is rotate for rotating the view. Now, for those who don't have a mouse and only have a trackpad, there's another way to navigate. Up on the upper left in their view, there's this cube that says top front on it, depending on what, which way you've rotated already. But if I left click on it and drag around, it rotates my view around. You can see it there. And each side has a name, like the bottom is bottom, left, back, front, right, top. Yeah, I'm just left clicking and dragging around. So if you had a trackpad, you can like left click and drag it too, or a touchpad and just touch on the side you want. So if I want to go in the middle of the front, middle, I can click. You see that there's a blue square highlighting on it. If I left click on that, it takes me to the front view on it. If I click, there's like these little tiny arrows on the sides of these. If I click on that top arrow, it'll take me to the top, directly atop above it. This cube is another way to get yourself a perfect view of the certain sides of your model here. So if you need to like be directly face on to edit something, you can do that. And I can also grab the edges here. So I can click on an edge and it'll take me to that view right there. And I'll be right over there. So if I zoom out and go all the way over here and I'm lost somewhere, I can just click on that cube and it actually won't change anything at all. To fix that, and I'm lost somewhere, is actually I can click on this house button right here. If I click on that, it takes me to the home view of my workspace. So I'm back in here just in case I'm lost somewhere. I can always click on home to get myself back into position there. And then right below that is fit all in view. So if I want to be like really zoomed in on my cube there, I can click on fit to view. The unfortunate part with all these here, you can't really drag your view back and forth like this without a mouse, unfortunately. So you can go right around. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Someone just said you can also right click and move the mouse around to view. Yes, you can also do that. Yeah, if you hold right click around, you can view around. So this right here is more like if I right click on different sides, it'll move me around. So I don't have to left click. You can be either right click or left click. If you are, on a touchpad, you have to touch a different size here, and to get lost, you can click on the home button right here. And if you want to zoom in, zoom out, like for a scroll wheel, there's the plus and minus. So I can zoom in with plus and zoom out with minus. So I can change view, zoom in, and zoom out, right there. And the last thing on the side over here for navigating is orthopedic view and perspective view. This is also a very common thing in 3D programs. So all of these things we see above here are in 3D programs, not all of them, but a lot of them. Fusion CAD has a cube like this too, and so does Maya and 3ds Max, if you turn it on or off. But there's a few programs that don't have this, very, very few, but most of them do. Blender has one too if you turn it on. I can't remember if it's on by default or not. So back to this bottom one right here. This is switching from orthographic to perspective. So perspective is like 3D world type of view. Orthopedic flattens everything. Like we are in like a top-down video game that's 3D. Things are kind of like a little bit more smushed looking. It's not true perspective, but it kind of flattens things out for you. This is really good for texturing. But since Tinkercad doesn't really have texture, it's not so much. So this is more good for like architecture, for like seeing all the different buildings next to each other. And of course, you can click on it again to switch it back and forth. You can see the huge difference between this is orthopedic and this is perspective. Like quite a few difference there. Okay, so that's how you navigate around in Tinkercad here. So next thing you can do over here is that Tinkercad provides a bunch of shapes you can start out with. On the side, this is traditional with a lot of programs over here that we have at DSpace and other places, like Fusion CAD has like objects you can start with, so does Blender, Maya. A lot of people start with a cube or a sphere for building 3D models, but yeah, we have some basic shapes right over here to work with. Right up top, you'll see work plane and ruler. If you want to change that up with a ruler, you can place that down and have your objects be based off this ruler instead of the grid if you want. I'm not going to go too much into that, but there is that. And right below, there's Tinkercad Basic Shapes. They click on that. I actually get a bunch of different categories for objects that they have. So I go to text and numbers, it'll change all the objects in here. They go to characters, it'll change all the objects here. Of course, all of this is based off of 3D printing. So a lot of these are like look like puzzle pieces that can go together. And then there's like a dinosaur you can print out. Yeah, this is a dinosaur, like all the pieces you can print out that they provide for you with like little pieces hooked together. And they also have circuits, connectors in here. Where are the circuit? Oh, nope, no, it's not. Oh, there it is. The symbols, if you wanna, this isn't actual circuit board stuff. This is stuff like for holding different things. Like we got this little LED holder. If you want to have an LED holder in there, it tells you can build it and stuff, but that is not a part of this webinar here that we're doing today. We're going to stick to basic shapes or text and number if you want. And there's a scroll wheel on the side here that I left click and go down. I got more options here. So I'm going to grab the star for now, just to show different examples. That's easy to tell than the cube. But again, I'm just showing how to use the program right now before we build a wrench. Another thing I wanted to point out is that these first two ones, you'll be wondering why that this box and cylinder is a repeat of this box and cylinder. We're going to get through that a little bit later. But know that these are invisible when you place them. So I have my star right here. Very common in multiple 3D programs to move your objects around is usually called translate, scale, and rotate. Translate is also known as move, but a lot of programs call it translate. So it'll be around. So to move this object around is simply left click. I'm going by mouse here and dragging around. Of course, it's going to show me your origin point just in case you want that measurement. But if I left click on the object, move around, I can move it around freely this way. I can also like rotate about and move it around as much like as I want. And I can actually, I don't think this program, nope, this program does not have the arrows. Some 3D programs have like an arrow you can move out, like this even like it helps you move up and down if you want to move it up and down, but there's no arrows for the length and the width, just for the height. So you look at your object and there's like this black like cone on top. You can highlight it and it turns red. You left click on that, it can bring you up and down. You can see that it's giving you the distance of that on the side too. So I can move that up and down. I also can just left click it and like move it freely, but you notice it's only moving it from the left and right, forward and back, not up and down. So Tinkercad has a way for you just to move, has a little arrow right there for you just to move it about. Someone's asking how to get rid of the scribble screen. So I probably, this little thing right here, let me circle it for you guys. That's called Scribble. Yeah, someone just asked, for those who are viewing Facebook, how do we get rid of the scribble screen? So if I left click and drag this in, it gives me a chance to like draw my own shapes in here. That's one of the options here. But if I want to get it out of this, I have to click on done on the bottom right here. I click done, takes me out of that. And I have this other shape here, and I can just click on the delete key to get rid of it. So if you're stuck in the screen, just look for the done button, D-O-N-E, at the bottom right. Okay, so yeah, we went over, translate, we moved around, moving, translate, same thing in here. Next thing I'm gonna show you guys is rotate. So rotating in here, there's like these little arrows that are like half circle arrows around the sides in here. And if you're still stuck, if you're still stuck in the scribble screen, let me know and I can go back to that. Okay. So here there's like these little half circle arrows on the different sides here. There's one right here, but it's kind of hard to see. But these are the different sides for length, width, and height. So this one right here, let me moves it with width. And if I slowly move it, you can see the degree change. So I got 80, 99, and if I stop and I click directly in there, I can actually change the number of how many degrees it turned. And then there's one for length right here. And again, if I click on it and hold my left click down, I can rotate it. I get that dial with red that's showing which way it's being rotated. Going left is negative, going to the right is positive, except for when you go past 180, it doesn't want to do positive number, like it doesn't want to go past 180. Because with 3D programs, people want to refer to one side or the other rather going past 180 so they know which way side it's rotated. Okay, so I can rotate this way, and then I can rotate based off height too. You can see that there's a dotted line going up and down from the center of my object, and right behind the square right here, there's like this little half circle arrow right here, and I can rotate it that direction too. Anyway, and then I can left click on it and change it like 60 degrees and change it over that direction. Here you go. So that's how you rotate your object, about moving around in the different axes. I'm gonna delete that one and bring a star back in because my next example is scale. So scale is changing the size of your object. There's the width, height, and length. That I can change by, and I can change it actually based off these squares at the corner of my object. And there's like one square that's pointing off of the ground for height. But if I hover over it, it'll give me the length and the width. So if I go this way, I can change the width. I can also just like click on the number on the side here and just change it to 1. And I can also change the width this way too for length. If I grab both in the corners, it changed both width and length. So I'm gonna move it around that way. And this I can change to 1. And that I can change to 1, hit enter, and I get a tall star. So I will have to rotate on the side right here to get the height. And I can just click on that square that's like coming from the base and the ground going up to change the height of my object. Of course, I still have 1/8 snap, so it's snapping to 1/8. I can make it really tall or really short. So there we go. So we learned how to move it around by just left clicking and dragging it about, and left clicking in the top arrow to move it back up and down. We learn how to rotate by looking for those half circles. And we learned how to change the size, the scale, by grabbing these corners here in the inner corners in that top square to change it all, like all the different size. So a lot of 3D modeling, well, 3D design is manipulating objects with translate, rotate, and scale, along with also editing vertices, the points and the edges and the faces and adding faces in there. But a lot of it is just taking things, adding things and moving it around based on rotate, scale, and translate. So the next thing I want to show you guys here is this little mini menu. There's this like menu that comes up when we click on an object. It's called like a shape menu right here. I can click on my scribble over here and I get another type of menu. I'm just going to bring out the basic cube out because the menu changes based on the object you have in your space. But you notice cube right here has way more options than the star. And the star has way less options by, none versus one versus the scribble shape right over here. So back to this cube right here, I can change quite a few things. First thing, there's a thing that says solid on there. If I want to change the color of the object, I can left click in there and change my color. I can also make it semi-transparent if I wanted to. Yeah, that's mostly up to me. And I can do custom color if I wanted to. Do this ring right here. And I can stick to one color right there. And there's another option called hole. And we're gonna get to that a little bit later. So ignore that for right now. And we have a thing for radius. So this makes a cube into a sphere. It is also for subdividing or making the edges smoother. I'm going to zoom in here. So right in radius here, as I bring my number to the right, the smoother the edges are until it's like a complete circle. And then bring it out, it's a hard edge in there. And you can also edit the numbers on the side right here. So if I double click the number in there and type a number like 12. Of course, this is from 0 to almost 1 in there. So 0.15, I hit that enter right there, it gives me a subdivision of 0.15 in there. And there's another thing in there. Next thing is called steps. So that's how many steps of division there is in the cube. So adding more faces and things in there to make it more smooth. So to add steps up in there, you see it's kind of hard to tell. I'm trying to get into the right spot right here. But you see that this detail along the curve is a lot smoother. If I bring steps down, you'll see that's a lot chunkier. Now there you can see. So that's just adding how many steps of smoothness are there in the corner here by adding more faces or subdividing. Next thing is that if you want to change the width and length and the height of your object without manipulating the way that I was doing it with the side of the cubes, make it taller and shorter and rotating. Well, not so much, but just not rotate, but just moving, making it tall, long, or short. So you can do that within the cube menu. Not every object has this menu, but the cube menu right here, I can change the length, the width, or the height of my cube by just dragging my sliders in here, or I can type numbers in there instead. So if you want to manipulate that way, you can do that. Now I'll show an example of a cone here. A cone has different options. It's got a top radius, which is that top part of the cone that we see, the base radius, which is the bottom part, the height up and down, and the sides. That's the number of sides that the cone has. Kind of see that there's like a line of shading different there. You add more sides, the smoother it is. The less they are, the less smooth it is. See, half sphere, can't really change much about that. Round roof, nope. I was thinking maybe change the number of sides it has on top. Sphere, you can only change how smooth it is. So it depends on the object that you have. Now, other more complex 3D programs let you change all of those options the same way on all the different objects. So here you can get from smooth to unsmooth to very smooth. There you go. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. Next I'm going to show you guys is copy, paste, undo, and redo. This, maybe I should have started with that, but it's very basic. So to delete, just select an object, hit the delete key, or you can select an object and click the trash can on the upper left here. So there's the trash can right there. If I want to undo something, I can click on the arrow on the upper left for facing towards the left for back, and it'll undo. And similarly, the forward arrow is going to redo. So right in there, I'm going to undo and redo. You can also use quick command keys like Control Z and Control Y. So Control Y redo, Control Z undo. It just undid a lot there. And then if you want to duplicate an object, I'm going to grab the star right here. There. You can also hover over these and it'll tell you what it does. But next one over here on the upper left is duplicate. So I can left click and it duplicates my object. And then I can also just simply copy and then paste. If I want to do a copy and paste instead, so Control C and Control V, or those tools right up there. And there we go. And now I'm going to show you guys some cool editing here. So another thing here, I'm going to grab the star right here. So if I want a complete inverse on that, and if you're wondering how I was able to like move all the way there and zoom in really quickly in there, if you hit the F key, it like takes it into field view, which is just zooming all the way into the object there. Okay, so the mirror, there's another menu up here for different things you can do. So up here there's mirror, so if I want to complete it reverse of the object, I can click on this and it gives me arrows of different ways. It can like reverse it. I'm going to choose the up and down one and it's an inverse of that object. And if I'm going too fast, let me know. If you need help with anything, yeah, just let me know in chat. Another thing you can do now is now I'm going to show you guys the whole weird object that says hull. Maybe some of you already figured it out already, but I'm going to show an example by grabbing two cubes here. And I can change the material by clicking on hull. And you're wondering why I skipped that from over here is because we're going to go back over this with hulls. So I'm going to click on hull for this object while it's selected. Hull, there we go. And it's kind of invisible, so nothing's really happening yet, but if I move this object and overlay it the other, nothing is happening still. But there's an extra step in here. So if you want to select multiple objects, you can left click, drag out to get that red box to appear to select multiple objects, or I can left click one object, hold shift down, and left click another object, and those will both are selected. Now we can go back to this menu up here and clear that. There it is. Menu up here, and we have more options that we did before. There's a thing called group, and there's a thing called line. A line is just for aligning objects together. If I click on the line and grab a circle, and like I'll try to line the object according to different size here. Yep, there we go. And lines it completely. But I don't want that. So I'm going to select both of those again. And there's another option up here. It's got like square combined with a circle right there. That's for grouping. So if I left click on that, it groups. And now we see that object just got smaller. Now, if I want to undo the cut there, you'll see that there's a circle on top of a square, but it's not combined. That is ungroup. Let me point out that. There it is. And I click on that, it ungroups again. So I can try moving this object about. I'm going to show a better way of how it's cutting a hole in here. There we go. And if I grab both of these objects, I'm selecting one, hold shift down, select the other, and then I'm clicking on group again. And see there that now we have a hole in our shape. That's a little bit easier to see than the one that I just showed you earlier. So with manipulating different objects together, we can use holes to cut through things. We can also combine objects too. So if I'm going to grab a cube here, and I'm going to grab this other cube, I'm going to make it smaller, bring it off the side right here, and I'm going to grab both these shapes together, and then click on group again, and you'll see here, hit F key to get that perfectly view, that these objects together are combined, and there isn't really lines going through it besides the grid line. And it's like one whole object. I can also grab a sphere, bring it up, select both of these objects, click on a group again, and it becomes, well, this one's kind of harder to tell because it's got a bunch of subdivisions, but this all became one shape and it turned all blue. So yeah, that's actually basically it for Tinkercad, how to use it. Of course, there's Scribble that we kind of showed earlier, where you can like draw your own objects. There's options at the bottom here if you want to erase different parts, drawing, create shapes fast with like this group tool, erase things fast by going in there. This is something you want to play with yourself to learn. It has quite a few different things it can do. And of course, once you're done with the scribble option, you can just click done on the bottom right. You see up there, there's the view of it. Done. There we go. I'm just going to delete that one. So yeah, that's how you use Tinkercad. Now I'm going to show you how to make a wrench in 15 minutes. There we go. So I just selected everything and deleted it all. So I don't really need other things in there. So when you think about a wrench, type T, wrench, think about the shapes it's made with. First, it's going to give me shopping. There we go. Got like this long flat piece, a circle, and a claw hand there. So I can start plotting different ways to change the shape in here. Oh, someone already made dice. That's cool. Did you grab the dice object, or did you actually cut holes in it? Because there's a little dice object. Anyways, back to the wrench. So I'm going to grab a cube, a cylinder for the end there, and yeah, I'm going to start with this cube right here. And I think, how long do I want my wrench? I'm going to make it about 4 inches. I'm going to make it 5. I'm going to make it 5 inches long. And you can see right there, it's perfectly 5 inches. And I'm going to make it about 1 inch tall. No, 1/2. That's a little tall. So a lot of this new design here, I'm just eyeballing this. I don't have a particular set of measurements that I want to go with. So I'm just kind of going with the flow right here. So yeah, there's that. And I want to make the edges smooth here. So I'm going to go to radius, bring about 1.1. You can see that it has a smooth edge now. And I'm going to do about 5 steps instead of 3, so the edges don't look as weird here. Yeah, but all I did is drag a cube in. I changed the length to 5 inches, 1/2 tall, and it's about 1 inch wide, because I know this based off how it lines with the like darker blue lines out here. So it's about 1 inch long. Now I want to make that circle end that we saw earlier. So I'm going to grab my cylinder and bring it over here, and make sure it's some size, bring it 1 inch, 1.4 both sides, and I want to make it 1/4 tall, just like the rest of my object. And I'm using my mouse to navigate through. I can see my mouse is a lot faster than a trackpad. So there we go. And I'm gonna bring this in a little bit more. Zoom out to see how I like it. I'm gonna, oops, there we go. Look at how this there. That's a lot bigger than the actual piece. So I'm actually gonna make this skinnier by 3/4 of an inch. Bring it in, so it's got 1/8 clearance on both sides. There we go. And now I'm gonna group the objects together. So I'm grabbing one, selecting the other, holding Shift down to click the other. Now they're both there. And then I'm gonna click on group. So that's that same little circle overlaying the square on there. And group. And now it's one object. And now I want to do something for the claw area. I'm gonna grab an octagon, polygon, so I can change the sizes here. But I scroll down on my object shapes area, polygon, I'm left clicking and dragging that in. I'm going way too fast here. I can slow down, let me know. Also, we do have another recording, Tinkercad Basics, on our YouTube page. So search DSpace on YouTube or just go to our website and look for that YouTube link on our website. And you can like watch through the video and pause and start it. But you won't be able to ask personified questions like you can with this webinar. Okay, so if you wonder what I did there, kind of just did it without really thinking. I dragged polygon in and delete this one here. And I made it shorter, so I'm gonna make this about 1/4 of an inch, like the rest of my winch. And dragging it up, lining it to this, and I'm making it larger, making sure it's equal size. Let's see, one side's 2 inches. This side, come on. I'm just gonna click directly in the box right here so I can get equal sides. I'm gonna look back at my wrench image. So it's kind of angled. So I'm gonna rotate this a little, bring it down a little bit. And I'm gonna turn my snap off on the bottom right. If you're wondering about snap. So I can get this a little bit better. I'm gonna rotate this way a little. Oh. Let's rotate snap on. Oh. There we go. So if you don't want to snap, you can actually drag over to like that little radio grid that shows up. If I hover over the smaller dial, it doesn't snap much, but if I hover over the bigger dial, it'll snap every 15 degrees, about 15. So I'm going over the small dial over here. Rotate a little bit, bring it down. There we go. Doing top view, see how it looks. Yeah, and then combine both of the objects and group. There we go. So now we want to cut holes into this. So I'm going to grab a cylinder, bring it in, and I'm going to cut a hole on this back part right here. I want a perfect view of it on top. So I clicked on top of my cube here. And I'm gonna bring this to 0.8, 0.8. Maybe I do want snap back on. Nope, turning snap off. I'm gonna eyeball this. Hop on that. Accidentally change the height. There we go. So I'm trying to get this dead center as I can. I could have just done snap and line it properly, but I'm going to do it this way. Rotate it the other way. Front view. There we go. And I'm just going to bring that in a little bit, move it down a little. I'm just doing that so I know it's through my object. And now I'm going to grab I only have my cylinder selected, that's it. And I'm gonna turn it to a hole. There we go. Now I'm selecting both objects. Left click on one, hold shift down, left click on the other, click on group. There we go. Now I have a hole, now it's soft centered. I should have done the snapping grid, but there we go. And now I'm going to grab another polygon. I just left click and drag it on. I'm back here. This one's kind of 5-sided, I believe, on the picture I'm using. So the sides right here, I can actually change the number of sides I have. And then change that to 5. So I can get more of that angle shape. I'm gonna change the color of this so I can see it lined up more. That's just a personal thing, you don't have to do that. And then rotate it. So it has a flat side over here. And I'm just gonna make it bigger. I'm gonna go to a top view. Bring this in, make this a lot longer. There we go. Rotating to the side, bringing it down so it's cutting through my object. Select both and group. Nope, I forgot to make it a hole. Grabbing the red one, making it a hole, selecting the object while holding shift and click on the other, and group. There we go. And there's a wrench. We could have done a smoother object, and maybe I could have gone and grab a cylinder because it's more smooth and smooth that out a little bit more. But I'm actually going to spend a little bit more time customizing this rather than smoothing that out. So I want to put a name in here, but I also want to have it indented. So I'm going to grab a cube, bring it out, and remember my measurements for this? It was 5 inches. Enter. Oh, nope. I changed my mind about something. Hold on. Is it in here? Nope, there isn't. Oh, maybe. Hold on. I'm just looking how this looks stretched out. No, I don't like the way that looks stretched out. So I'm sticking with the cube. It's 5 inches tall. So what my plan here is use this cube to make indents on the sides, like this one kind of does. Oh, this one is a better example. It's got an indent in there. So I'm gonna just indent right in. And I'm gonna make this really thin, maybe 0.5. Oh, nope, that's 1/2 inch. I'm gonna do less than 1/2 inch. Yeah, that's about right. And then I'm gonna make it smooth on the sides here. There we go. Maybe a little less steps because this is a little low poly. Low poly means it has very few faces. And as our number, it was turn snap on. I have to eyeball this, but it's probably better from, oops, accidentally brought it down. It's a lot better to actually go by measurements than eyeballing in 3D design programs. But here I am. So I'm just aligning it, bringing it up. It's a little too long, so I'm gonna make it shorter and thinner. I'm gonna turn snap off again, go to top view. Here we go. Bring this in. There we go. Magnet. I'm actually going to make it thicker again. There we go. And you notice that's not very flat on the sides here. Maybe I should have gone with cylinder or reduce the steps. Nope. Maybe reduce the radius. There we go. Yeah, reduce the radius. Because it's kind of rounding in on the edges there. Maybe more steps. Make it a little shorter again. Going to above view. Now this is when I would go orthopedic view. So I just click on that orthopedic view on the left side, bottom right, switch to orthopedic. So I can flatten things out, center things a little bit better that way. And dragging back and forth, make sure everything's all right. There we go. And I'm gonna bring this object just in a little bit. I'm gonna turn it into a hole. There we go. Bring a little bit more, select both objects, and group. There we go. I'm gonna do that, but you can kind of see that there's an indent in there. So I'm gonna undo that, Control Z, there we go. And I'm gonna bring this down a little bit more. Grab both, select both, combine, there we go. Now you can see there's more of an indent right there. I'm actually gonna do it over again, make it a little bit deeper. There we go. Select both, group, there we go. That's much better. And going back to perspective view. Yeah, you can see that there's an indent right there. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab text. Oh, if you have to leave, Katiana, thank you very much for checking us out. Definitely like post your cool die to us on our Facebook page. Anyways, back on the right over here, here's a text object. I'm just gonna grab that, drag it in. Text has a little bit different properties. So there's a thing that says text, and I can go right in there, maybe type do space. It doesn't have to be do space, but you can do right there. You can change your font. You can customize this a whole bunch. Maybe I want to make this all caps. There we go. And I got the height change in there. Bevel just makes it thicker. There we go. And segments makes it smoother versus not smooth. There we go. And of course I need to change the size of this. So if I hold shift down while I'm like grabbing a corner cube, like corner point, it stays like proportionally the same. If I don't hold shift, I can like skew it. So hold shift down to keep the same size. There we go. There's that. Bring it in. I'm gonna go top. Oh, nope. Top view. I'm gonna go back to Orthographic. Needs to be a little bit bigger. So grab in the corner. Still kind of a little too small. There we go. Trying to center it in. And I'm doing my like artist face. I'm like squinting and looking in, making sure it's right. Rotating the side here. Yep. Oh, it's a little too tall. So I'm gonna bring this down to 9 height. There we go. Bring this up a little bit. Zooming real close here, rotating the side so I can see how much of it's sticking out. I'm okay with how much of it is overlapping. Oh, that's not tall enough. So I am gonna make it a little bit taller without holding shift down. So it's kind of touching the edge a little bit in there. There we go. I'm okay with that. And I could have this in 2 different colors if I wanted, but I'm gonna combine it, group. And there we go. It's one whole solid object. So yeah, we just made a wrench here. So you can actually save this if you want to import into anything else. I can grab it and then I can click on export, the right side right there. So I can click on export and it gives me options to do OBJ and STL. For 3D printing here at DoSpace, we want STL. And it downloads into an object. So I'm just opening another program here. We're not going to learn this, but this is just our 3D, like 3D printing software. But I just want to show this object that we just made and place it right in here. And then we're done. And you can see right there, it's named Simple Wrench. Or I can click open file and then sorry, it's not happy the way I was trying to bring the file in. There we go. And there's our object ready to 3D print. Nope. I'm trying to, there we go. There it is. Oh, DoSpace is a lot smoother than the edge of our wrench here. I could have spent more time smoothing that out, like different shapes. But yeah, so we learned Tinkercad, made a wrench, and when DoSpace opens again, we can 3D print it there if we wanted to, or create cooler other things instead. But thank you very much for coming to this webinar. If you've made anything super cool, you can definitely share it with us on DoSpace, our DoSpace Facebook page. You can find us, maybe share a message with us, post to us about cool thing you've done. We love to see all the awesome stuff you've made. And if you ever need help with anything or got more questions, you can email us at hello.dospace.org, or you can go straight to our DoSpace page. And we have a chat box right in the bottom right corner. It'll show up soon. There we go. We are here online. And you can ask questions right there directly to us, and we'll help you out. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching this webinar, and I hope you guys have a good night and have a great time creating awesome 3D designs that hopefully you can 3D print. Now have a good night.